Hey there, thanks for joining me for this quick video. Last weekend, I was in Cairns at the Global Speakers Summit. It's hosted by the Professional Speakers of Australia. The GSS is a convention that brings together some of the professional and keynote speakers and trainers from around the world to really showcase some talent and really develop people's craft of speaking. Now, as you can imagine, there were plenty of presentations across the weekend that was making the audience laugh and cry and feel inspired, often in the same talk. This week, I thought I would share with you just one thought that was shared with us who were in the room at the summit. Bruce Sullivan was the keynote speaker who closed the conference, and he was funny and engaging and moving and motivating. He made this particular statement. He said, "It's okay to have a moment, but not a mood." You know, I think everybody's going to have moments of disappointment, moments of frustration, maybe even moments of anger. That's okay. It's part of life. It's part of what it means to be human. What's not okay is when we allow our moment to persist and turn into this mood that begins to affect everybody around us. You know, too often I get called into workplaces where issues have been avoided or exacerbated because people don't have the moments. They don't just have moments, they have moods that persist over time. And as those moods are allowed to kind of fester, they let their frustrations rub off on their peers. They don't just wallow in their own negativity, they drag everyone else down with them. And as a result, we end up with unhealthy and unproductive and unsafe workplaces. So we have a responsibility. You know, Viktor Frankl, he was a Jewish psychiatrist who was interned in Auschwitz, one of the German concentration camps in World War II. He wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies our ability to choose. And in that choice lies our freedom." You see, as leaders, we have a responsibility to choose how we respond to things, not to react without thinking, but to choose to respond with intention, so that no matter what work or the world throws at us our way, we are having an intentional response. You know, we have this responsibility to ourselves because leadership always starts with self-leadership. We can't be our best selves. We can't be the leader that we want to be if we are allowing our moments to become moods. It's a recipe for misery and mediocrity, and our moods will drag not only ourselves down, but it drags others down with us. So we are responsible to ourselves to make sure that that doesn't happen. But we're also responsible to our colleagues and our people, our teams, those that we're leading. See, success as a leader is all about bringing the best out of people. It's about creating an environment that fosters performance and engagement. And when we allow the moods of our people in the workplace to start affecting those around us, well, that erodes those environments that we are trying to create. And so as leaders, we have a responsibility to help our people shift their moments and to keep their moods in check. Now, how do we do that? Well, it starts with our language. You know, it's not as simple as just telling people, improve your attitude. I think anyone who has tried to do that knows that it's not exactly a successful strategy. But what makes it possible and what makes it a sustainable approach over time is having a common language amongst the team that helps you have the conversation about these matters. You know, for Bruce Sullivan, he and his teams, they talked about top drawer versus bottom drawer thinking. For my teams and the teams that I work with, often the language that we use is above and below the line. See, above the line thinking and behavior is characterized by ownership and accountability, responsibility, solutions thinking. It's thinking and behavior that promotes performance and builds culture. But below the line thinking is the opposite. It's behavior and thinking that erodes culture. It's characterized by often blame, excuses, and denial, and just chronic negativity. And see, once you have a common language around when you can talk about it, then you can have meaningful conversations about how people react negatively and respond positively, and where people are at and how we can shift them. And once you kind of have those conversations, you always get people saying, yes, we want more of the above the line behavior, or the positive thinking and performance promoting behavior. And so therefore you garner a collective commitment to staying above the line, right? Now, once you have that collective commitment, you can both give and get permission from people to challenge each other, to hold each other accountable for ensuring that moments don't become moods. This is done simply by highlighting the fact that people are in a mood or below the line, and inviting them in some way, shape, or form to return above the line. So, for example, if you are or you have someone in your team who's complaining continuously, you might try a couple of different approaches. You might say, well, hey, that's below the line thinking. What is the above the line perspective that you could take in this scenario? And because it's a common language, they know what you're talking about. Maybe you might try something a little bit more elegant that Bruce shared, and that was, well, that's an interesting below the line story. What's the above the line story you could start telling? And what makes these approaches successful is the proactive and explicit conversation that you've had beforehand, that ensures that you have a common language, that ensures you've got collective commitment to maintaining a positive working environment, and that gives permission for you and others to challenge each other, to keep each other accountable, to staying above the line, to having a positive culture. Without those proactive conversations, without that common language and that collective commitment and permission, trying to hold people accountable to their mood is only going to deepen it. So my question to you is, what's the team's common language? And what's the common approach that you all agree on to managing moods in the workplace? If you don't have one, then I encourage you to get one. Until next time, lead well.